The College of Winterhold without a doubt has to have one of the worst guild quest lines in Skyrim, but what you're probably wondering is why. Well, my dear viewer, to answer that, let's take a look at the greatest sins of the College of Winterhold's quest line. One of the greatest sins a story can commit is if it's rushed or drug out, which this one does in spades. Because here we are again. Looks like it's time for another speed run. Our journey takes us to the far north to the treacherously cold settlement of Winterhold, which is a shell of its former glory due to a mysterious event known only as the Great Collapse. Which is not so mysterious when we find out most of the city just kind of fell into the ocean. We then arrived at the College of Winterhold, cast a magic ball of light to enter, and we're now the archmage.
You have our gratitude, archmage.
I'm not kidding when I say that's how fast this quest goes. We show up one moment, and the next, we're running the place before we've even had time to process what just happened. Depending on how we play through the storyline, it can take anywhere from around 2 to maybe 5 hours to complete, not including the side quests from other characters, which have zero bearing on the main story. The problem here is that, like the companions, for example, we show up for 2 whole days, and then we're the CEO of the college, when all we've really done is find an orb, run a few dungeons, and watch a bunch of people die because the plot demanded it. Sure, we can do all the extra side quests and force roleplay as a mage to extend the time to complete the main quest, but despite doing that, the main story feels like it barely has any time dedicated to, you know, actually being a mage in that 2 to 5 hour time span. But that's not all, because on top of the story just abruptly ending, those burning questions that we might have are never fully answered. Starting with the Eye of Magnus, you know, that giant glowing orb that apparently everyone, including the absolutely one-dimensional, totally not a genocidal maniac Talmor Ancano wants desperately? Yeah, that goes away. Oh, and apparently it can destroy the world too. Why? Don't know. What is it? Well, we don't know that either, but you just need to trust us that it's very bad, because we need something to move this plot forward. We've also got the Sigil Order, which is this ultra-vague yet super powerful group of mages that show up for all of 5 minutes, tell you they were focused on you becoming archmage this whole time, then they just dip with the Eye of Magnus. Who exactly is the Sigil Order? What is their purpose? And what do they really know about the Eye of Magnus? Again, we don't really get a solid answer. The Sigil Order themselves are loosely referred to by a few members of the college, but who they actually are and what their motives are never feels fleshed out. It's fine to keep a layer of mystery and ambiguity here, but for a group that is so invested in the storyline, I would imagine they should have more time spent on them rather than showing up for a few seconds before disappearing, expecting us all to just forget what happened. And of course, there is no explanation for why they want you to be Archmage, which quite frankly makes zero sense to me, because the title of Archmage is about as useful as the title of Harbinger of the Companions. It's not. It's literally useless. At least we get some meaningful in-depth choices, right? Yeah, about that. This is a one-way, fully on rails kind of ride. Once we start the main quest, it's point A all the way to point B, with little deviation in between. It's the classic scenario of telling us this happened, and then this happened, without throwing any twists in there that would have us scrambling to save the game at certain points, just so we can see the consequences of our actions from different choices. There are no choices to be made that impact the overall story, and there aren't any decisions that branch out that provide that layer of replayability a well-made choice-driven plot would give us. Really, there isn't much I can add here at all, because that's it. At least in the Companion's questline, you can cure yourself of lycanthropy. And if you're asking what kind of choices could have been added here, don't worry, I've got a few right here for you. Want to be a massive dick inside with Ancano and destroy the college? Ha! Not happening. Want to restore the college to its former glory and rebuild trust with the local Nords of Winterhold? Woohoo! Also not happening. Want to refuse to become Archmage because it makes zero sense that someone who was an apprentice 2 seconds ago should be given that role? Oh no. You're gonna be Archmage whether you like it or not because we said so. And therein lies the final sin. I don't know what it is about this game, but it just loves making us the boss of everything. Seriously. What is it with guild leaders dying and everyone wanting to hand you the role of CEO? The biggest problem with this questline is that the Archmage just dies and some random order no one cares about says you should be Archmage and everyone shrugs their shoulders and just goes along with it. This was the point where I felt there really needed to be a ranking system or requirements to actually make it to the rank of Archmage, because otherwise this makes no sense. Maybe it wouldn't be so bad if we could at least, you know, restore the college to its former glory, or if being Archmage had any real meaning to it at all, but again, there's nothing. Truly nothing, and it's a damn shame. I really wish there was a lot more here, but luckily mods can somewhat fix this problem. They can't necessarily unwrite or fix a poorly written story, but they can at least add some much needed depth here that provides a more satisfying experience. It isn't all bad though. The college does have tons of lore and many more side quests and character interactions that the Companions Guild doesn't have in comparison. And speaking of the Companions Guild, check out this video right here if you would like to know more about the greatest sins of the Companions Guild questline.